So punctorial. We were talking about this morning, I'm training people badly, you know. The day when I'm not here on time, they're going to call an ambulance. All set, all finished?
Yes.
Okay, see you next time then.
See you next time.
Even streaming on a Sunday. Sunday's just another day for us here, you know. I mean, we've got a shop, so, you know, our lives are, or at least my life, is dictated by the shop schedule. We're closed on Tuesdays. We chose to close one day a week on Tuesdays. And that's the day I head out to our Ome workshop, which is technically my home. And I haven't been there for, I don't know now actually, it's been a month or a month and a half or something. So I'll be out there on Tuesday. Also, there's a local, my neighbor 2 doors down, 3 doors down in Ome. She does a haircut thing in her house, so I usually ask her to chop the stuff back on my visits out there too. So, and there's trouble. The girls, the women working out there, they say the water heater, something's wrong with it again. They don't have any hot water, so let's see what's going on. This part's nice. I like these long, smooth lines. There hasn't been enough of that sort of thing in this print yet. In my life recently, that Kyosai print had nothing like this. So this is the way I lived for 10 years. That Poets series was full of sweeping curves like this. It's where I cut my teeth on this craft. Do a relief stress relief cut first here. Also, I've been fiddling more with the camera angle again today. Yesterday I had it at an angle where my hand was blocking too much, I think. So we're trying another angle today, this morning and this evening. You can see the advantage of that stress relief, and once the knife goes in, this wood physically starts to move already, so the line itself doesn't get stressed. All the stress goes in the waste. All right, that's about it for beautiful work now, and you know what's coming next. Dots. These are substantial dots, much more so than the ones on the tentacles. And these have more shape. I remember when I was sketching them, drawing them, tracing them is the right word, from their master. I could see these dots have much more shape, much more character, just by virtue of their dimension. All done, Kawai-san?
All done です。あとちょっと最後紙を落として。
あ、OK。はい。結構ビジーデイですね。本当に良かったね。そう。楽しかったパーティー、今日のパーティー。
最後の男の
結構変わった人でしょ。そう。あれは何、普通の日本人ですか？
カナダに住んでる。
ああ、やっぱり。そうか。いや、あのタイプですね。海外に住んだことがある人。He did a very good job today. We had a full party schedule, three parties. Well, we sometimes do 5, but 3, whatever, that's full enough. And they were all full up people. So. And he did it together today with Hosono-san, but she's still a beginner, so he carries it himself. Yeah. 明日も河合さん？
そうです。
パーティー私と河合さん明日？
あと土井さん。
中森さんいないでしょ？
明日土井さんいない。 ノーパーティーレザベーションです。ノーパーティ
ああ、
ーレザベーションで一応どういう代わりになってます。
OK。じゃあ、スタンバイが私。うん。
そうですね。
OK。はい。
まあ、
うん。
一人二人だったら僕が。
OK。じゃあ、静かに一日になるかな。じゃあ、フリーマーケットの作品を片付けることとか。ビシビシ。最近夕飯食べるチャンスないですね。ごめん。この仕事が始まってから申し訳ないです。
いやいや、日そうです。
うん、
本当スケジュール守って朝、フォームされるんで、8時だけ。
もう今どんどんできてますよ。もう1年の間にこれしかできなかったんですが、今
最初スピードアップしてるような気がする。最初のツイッチ始めた頃。
まあ、いや
さらにスピードアップして
だから Twitch の力で本当にどんどんできてますよ。今あとちょっとでしょ。だから今のタコの体は3日ぐらいかかるかな。その後彼女の顔とか。本当にハッピーです。色版木も用意してありますし。でもちょっとこの間にクリスマスのためのギフトプリントも作らないとダメ。でその後も年賀状。だから多分重版ができたから色版始まる前にこの2つを彫らないとダメです。しょうがないですね。みんな忙しい。川崎さんいっぱい、チョンさんもいっぱい。そう。チョンさん、これからもうヒーローです。ボスファイト。そう。で、10月から来年の新しい新シリーズですね。今、妖怪ですが、妖怪はもう今最後のものを彫ってるんです。だから10月は新シリーズの彫りです。作品見てないでしょ、まだ。トップ、シークレット。そう。妖怪 is finished. And this month we're carving the last one. So.
結構その木の硬さというか
いろんな質問、そう、いろんな質問。OK、そう、ちょっと、テクニカル、技術的な質問も多いですね。そう。普通の人はあまり気にならないんですが、どこまで説明するか。午前中仕事終わってからこのチャット読みながらみんながじゃあ今ちょっとワイン飲みながら見てますよとかみんな結構リラックス時間で見てですね。で仕事やってる間にコンピュータ画面のワンコーナーがこの Twitch ストリームですね。いろいろあります。
ブルーさんはこんな感じでチャットが大きく映るんだ。
このページそう。They're talking about you. So this is 河合さん。そう。で今の話。そう、河合さんが、そう。河合さんが出てからまた見て。そう。He's done a very good job today. He did three print parties today by himself with Hosono-san. Taking a lot of the weight off me. Very good. Let's switch tools for a minute here. I think I have to zoom out. Now that there's more clear open spaces nearby, up to now it's been really tightly held in. So I've kept zoomed close in and it's all been in a single focus. I haven't had much moving around. But now we've got more clear, wide open spaces, and I think I better clear some of these. But now we're going to hit the problem with this time delay. I've been getting advice about this. People have been writing in with it, whether it's Twitch's delay or my settings here. And there's various things we're going to be trying over the next few days. And what I might be doing is perhaps tomorrow sometime, or maybe Tuesday on my day off, I might be doing some test streams, which are not real carving, but they're simply testing to try and have me check different settings here for sound delay. Let's see what we've got right now. If I make a sound here, do we have a delay between the sound being made and heard? Oh, it doesn't make much of a sound here. And what we were finding was there's nearly a half a second delay with many of the people who were coming in the stream. And I've had different feedback. It's a setting I should do here. I can delay the video, push the sound in advance. And the other problem was that it seems to change as the stream goes on. At the beginning of the stream, it's not so strong. By the end of the stream, the delay is getting longer and longer and longer. Anyway, long point right here. Let's see what happens. I'm going to be hammering, but maybe the sound will match and maybe not. And I really don't know. Let's see. Tenth of a second, which is delayed. The sound is delayed? The sound is late or the sound is early? Am I out of the view? I think I'm still in the view. Just a second. Wrong way around. Sound is early. It was late the other day. I don't know then if this is my issue or Twitch issue. Somebody else said it's a browser issue, that the person looking in the browser, if they turn off, what was the advice? Turn off HTML5. I didn't investigate this very much yet. So I don't know what it is. So anyway, as I said, at the moment I can't help it. We're going to try and work on it with some test streams. So. Whatever, while I'm here, should we clear off a bit more of the wider part here? Yeah, about the highlights later on, that's no problem because I can separate the audio in the movie editing program and move it down. So later on, the highlights won't be a problem. But the stream itself, you know. Okay, that's enough to do for now. Let's get in there and clean it up. Do we say zoomed out for a bit? Yeah, let's stay out. We spent the last bunch of weeks zoomed in so tightly and so closely, you know. There's been people that have been writing in and questions and stuff. They think I do all my work under the microscope, and actually it's, you know, the other way around. I do most of it like this. It's just been this project. I've been out of shape. I haven't carved for many, many months. So just to try and get the shape of all these tentacles. I've done it under the scope, but so what we'll do, I think, is go back to a more normal way of doing it here. Let's see if we can get the camera working on this. Here's my normal daily setup. Filthy lens, look at it, it hasn't been used in weeks. Let's see, move the camera a bit here, just a moment. Just to get, here's the normal setup. It's a lens that sits horizontally in front of me here. I'm looking down through it, of course, onto the block. And I need my other glasses. Glasses A, glasses B, glasses C. So this is okay. Can you see, or should I zoom in a bit more? What should we do here? If I come in like this, tip it down a bit. Try and get the camera focused on the area right below the lens. Might this do? Sure. Whatever, it's a change. I'm happy to get away from the light on that scope, you know, it's a goddamn awful, grotesque LED light. It's too white, it's too bright, it has no direction. This whole carving setup for me here in Osaka says, quote, temporary, unquote, now in its third year. But it's looking like this is going to be where I do my work for the next foreseeable future. So I'm going to bring some of the tools from Ome. If you've seen some of my older videos, you'll know that over in the Ome workroom there's this beautiful flask and light that sits in front of the carving bench. And it's so nice. I mean, the light here in this room now is coming from the ceiling. It's dropped down flat. I can't see the angles of the angles on the block. So it's about time, I think, to bite the bullet, bring the tools over from Ome, set up the lens here, we should be able to get a way to do it with a camera as well. I don't know, we'll figure something out. Am I still in view? This might be a bit more difficult to keep it in view for the camera. I don't know. Look at that, perfectly dangerous chipping there. Look at that. If I clear that out without going a bit deeper. It's okay. Yeah, no, I need that water. I need that flask. It's so nice. And I haven't given it up. It was just the location, you know. It was my carving bench and my workshop, my studio, whatever you called it there. And Asakusa has just been temporary, you know. When we moved to Asakusa, this back room where I am now, this was the printer's room. We didn't have the upstairs area, and there was nowhere for me to have a bench. And you probably see in some of the Great Wave videos, I put the bench up in the shop in the evenings after the shop had closed. I did the carving in the shop area. Then when we got the third floor rent sorted out last year, the printing room, Lisa built the printing room upstairs. And I moved into this room, still quote, temporarily. So I'm homeless, still homeless. You know, I need to be here in Asakusa, but my carving setup is back there. It's a crazy situation. So anyway, Lisa and I were chatting about this. Now that we're doing, now that I'm back to the bench so much more now, we're going to bring some tools over, get a flask, set it up, get a light. Whatever, for those of you who don't know, what I need for this carving is not a flat light from over top, but I need an angled light coming at me from the front, so that I can see the angle of the wood. I can see, you know, how smooth and how not smooth the surface is. And the reason for that flask thing, can we talk about this without a picture? Can somebody find a picture of it? I don't know what to do here. Whatever, just describe it. I have a flask full of water that sits in front of between the light and myself, and it diffuses the light. And if we have just a light bulb, if you imagine there's a light bulb in front of me here, it shines across. I put the knife in the wood, the light bulb is shining, so I get a real strong shadow of the knife. And when I'm carving, like here for example, right, you can see it almost here. I can't tell which is the shadow and which is the knife, which is the line and which is the shadow. But if I've got the light, and then in between me and the light there's a flask of water, it diffuses and spreads the light so that it doesn't throw strong shadow on the knife. The knife doesn't throw a strong shadow. This wasn't my idea. This is something we think probably from Meiji time. And it may have come from Europe, because European wood engravers used that same kind of system. They used it to sort of magnify the light. They'd put a candle behind it and put the lens in front, and the light spreads all over the block. So it's not so much magnifying, but spreading around into a different area. And that's documented well back, 1700s or so, long before the Japanese had a strong, good carving tradition. So it may have been picked up from the West. I've got to keep checking to make sure I'm in the field of view here. Crunch, crunch, crunch. People are trying to figure out where I am and what's going on and stuff. There are blog posts on our Mokuhankan conversation page where I did, when we first got into the shop here, there's one of them, it must be from the autumn of 2014, somewhere when we opened the shop. I did a walkthrough, taking pictures at every step. Here's the room, here's where we are. So there is, and there's also a map. There's maps of the shop, the floor layout and stuff on our Mokuhankan Conversations blog back at that time when we opened in 2014. And then when we went upstairs, that would be in the summer of 2015, I guess. We did the same thing. We published a map of it. We were actually helping people to draw sketches of what the layout should be and stuff. So I published blank maps of the floor space. A bunch of people wrote in with good suggestions. And I think we used our own design basically, but there were some interesting ideas coming up there. So. And then the next level of expansion, it's a 3-story building. We have the second and third, and the next level of expansion, I'm not actually legally allowed to talk about yet, so that's fine. Let's just leave some things where they are. Okay, coming up, thoughts? Can we still see what's going on? Should I zoom in more? I don't really know. Give me some advice here. It's pretty far out. The tighter I zoom in, the more chance there is of me going out of the field of view if I move it. Somebody's asking about ordering one of these prints. Not yet, no. We don't have a website for that yet. We do have a place where you can leave your email address and we'll email you when we're ready. So it's not an order form, just an expression of interest. Let me know when it's up and running. And that's at the website, theoctopusprint.com. All one word, theoctopusprint.com. It's linked on the Twitch, on my Twitch channel page. You can leave your email if you want. And just we'll let you know when we're getting closer to having this thing ready. when I'm cutting now without the scope, getting back to sort of real scale, I tend to cut deeper, you know, put too much strength in. So these are a bit too deep. I have to try and oh, Kawai-san, you're still here. そうか、そうか。石川さんと石川さんもやってるまだやってる。弁当で、お店とかハットとか全部閉まった。ちょっとお願いですが、パーティーの窓をちょっと開けてください。そうすると空気が入りますから。と、ハンガークラブの明かり、そのまま。そう、だからこの人たちがその明るくなる。そう。Okay, good night. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Okay, good night. Thank you again. There we go. So there's still one more upstairs. Ishikawa-san is still printing upstairs. She's working on the yokai print, Jed's print for for October. The Caraben yokai. I don't think Jed put this up on his Instagram, so it's still probably secret. Caraben, character and bento. It's a real thing here in Japan. Mothers send their kids off to school, you know, with whatever, handmade lunchbox, bento box, whatever. And it's become a real thing for having characters. So there's different books and TV variety programs showing mothers how to do it, how to arrange the food so that it looks like a Ghibli character or, you know, whatever, an anime character or something like this. So Jed ran with the idea. We were chatting about it one night a few months ago, what to do for this next one. I think we talk about it, he asked me, he says, what's big in Japanese pop culture right now or something, you know, whatever. And we had that kind of conversation. I mentioned the Caraben, I'd seen something about it that morning or whatever. That's it. All you gotta do is throw a seed at Jed and bingo. Back he comes. So I hadn't known this, but there's a certain kind of yokai here in modern Japan that hides in bento boxes. And if you look carefully, you can see it. And that'll be October yokai print. Too deep, absolutely. Get away from the scope, put the magnifying glass on. The scale is all different, and I'm absolutely cutting too deeply here. Got too many tools. All right, time for a question. The other way around here, people have been asking me questions. So I got one. I don't know. I'm still brand new on Twitch here. I set it up and started it without really doing a whole lot of investigation, and there's lots of things about this community I don't know and don't understand yet. And one of those things I see right now, it comes up, says here, Kohubi is now hosting you. And I don't have any idea what that means. I'm sorry to be a dumbass here, but I don't know what it means. So if somebody can quickly, he's now hosting me. What does that mean? Oops, put away one of my tools here. Am I staying in view? No, look at that, Dave. Too big. Streaming goes offline, redirects to another stream. Yeah, my channel is showing on his page as well. Soka. So it gives his viewers something to see. That sounds like okay. So in other words, I'm seeing more, reach more people. But are they okay with what we're seeing here? Do we know? Well, I think we're covered up for the moment, but I don't know. Yeah, without that side light, I can't see if this is flat enough. It's not flat, but it's got to be smooth here in the middle. If there's rills and bumps here, and what happens is as we're rubbing the pigment over the print when we're printing, it catches on the bumps and starts to build up and up and up. And the first print is okay, it's clean. Second print's okay, but maybe by 107, the pigment's building up here and it starts to get blots in the middle. So I've got to get my light. Last night's fish and chips was okay, you know. It's, what am I going to say? If I complain that it's not like I used to have in Britain back in 1968 or whatever, it was fine. I was very happy. They're claiming it's 100% authentic British, but I'm not sure if my mother would agree with that. But anyway, no argument. It was very nice. And what's cool is that they have malt vinegar, which most places in Japan have not even heard of. When you ask for it or whatever, they just look at you like you're from a different planet. But these guys have done their homework and they've got malt vinegar there. So yeah, I'm a happy guy. I'm not living here for British food, for God's sakes, but having a fish and chips was nice. Although too, I know I broke a major rule, you know, about our work when I did that last night. And if we go back like whatever 25 years or so, when I was doing my newsletter, which we've talked about before here, I interviewed the guy who was doing our paper sizing at that time. His name was Misawa-san. We linked to him, I think, last night. I didn't know anything at all about the sizing, so the point was I lightly interviewed him for my newsletter, got a few hints and stuff. I wasn't thinking about doing my own work, but it was just, I asked him the questions to learn about what it was, so I would know more about printmaking. And he and his wife said something interesting. And I had lunch with them. They had worked in the morning. I dropped in the late morning to watch part of the morning's work. Then we had lunch together. And then I watched a bit of the afternoon's work before leaving. And I guess it's his wife said something, you know, I guess she brought it up. And she said, you know, the one difficult part about being a person who does the sizing for paper is the dietary restrictions. And I must have done like a double take. What dietary restrictions could be in place for people doing paper sizing? And I mean, I don't get it. It's a job. You sit there at your workbench and do it. And she said they have no cooking oil in the house. Period. None. They don't do fried foods. They don't do tempura. They don't do anything. And her point was that if there's oil in the house, and if you're eating too much fried food, it's in your skin, it's in your hands, the amount of oil. I guess it was that. If you have tempura for lunch, it's in your skin in the afternoons, and it stains the paper. I'm not claiming this, I'm just repeating what she said to me. And she said it wasn't just their family idea. She said that's it. None of the paper sizers anywhere kept cooking oil, and none of them ate fried foods. And like the lunch she was giving us, I don't remember what it was, but we looked at the table and it's like, you know, no fried foods. So I sat there last night gobbling that fish and chips, which was pretty greasy. And I sort of remember this. Whoops, Dave, what have you done? You know. Well, I mean, we have a sink and soap and water, and I wash my hands before going back to work. But it was an interesting anecdote from her, and I had no reason to doubt her sincerity. She was there. She was just explaining that aspect of their life, you know. I guess maybe it makes sense, you know, if you do eat too much fried food, does your skin oil tend to be stronger or oilier than somebody who doesn't eat fried food? I don't know the math behind it, the biology behind it. But I could believe it, I guess. It's too big. They're really trying to go the English flavor on that place. Now it's a wagon. It's not a restaurant. It's a, what do you call it? It's a thing with wheels that they push in and park there, and then they can take it away and go somewhere else. You know, it doesn't drive itself. It's not a food truck. I don't know what you call it. Anyway, it's there. It's a wagon of some sort. They open up the side. Guy sells from the side. And they're really trying to do the English thing. It's like Union Jacks everywhere, and they have fish and chips, and they have Bass Pale Ale for only 700 yen. Ouch. You see what I'm doing? This is trouble, actually. This is one of our real problems in this craft, is the wood grain thing. If I go back, maybe it needs explaining or not, I don't know. This is wood that's cut on the plank. We've got a plank of wood. It's cut from a tree, and there's definite grain direction. It didn't matter to the knife carving the lines so much. But when I'm clearing out the waste wood in between, the grain is actually sort of, I can't see it, but it slopes one way. It slopes down or it slopes up inside the wood itself. And you've got to carve as it slopes down, so that if I scoop wood away like this, look at this, it comes away smoothly and cleanly, because the knife isn't getting caught into the grain lines. It's cutting across grain lines like this. But if I come around the other way, if I try and scoop away against the grain, the knife won't cut smoothly. It digs in, and the wood wants to split and chip out. So, no problem. We cut wherever possible with the grain. Clean up that mess I just made. So that's okay. So generally I want to go this way. Now, we've got this octopus line that goes to my right, then curves around and comes back to my left. Now forget the grain thing I just mentioned before. We've got to cut a different way now. When I'm clearing away this waste wood, I want to do it so that my knife flows away from the curve of the line I'm leaving. In other words, I don't want to come here. I don't want to do this, because my knife wants to slide into that line I'm leaving. A real potential for disaster. So no problem. This one matches the grain of the wood. Remember, we scoop this way, it's easy. and this is scooping away from the line, so no problem. This was perfect and easy. But now to move it around, I want to now scoop away from my line, but now this is against the grain. So we're getting a mess. Look at this. It's fighting and chipping me. So all I can do at this point, look at this, it's chipping away, is push down as hard as I can on the chisel and cut as little as possible so that it doesn't dig into the grain. I'm trying to turn the chisel into a plane. Look at this. No way, I can't do that. It's gone right down into the wood. So no problem, we've got to come at it the wrong way. Be much more careful, carve tiny, tiny pieces. I'm scooping out to my left. There's a real danger here of chipping that line, that octopus line. This won't come out. I'm going to have to cut deeper. Pull it back around. It should now flip out. This is all stuff, nobody tells you. You don't know how it works. You either develop a feeling for these things yourself based on how many times I chip away walls and why is it chipping and what's doing wrong and what have I done wrong. And eventually you figure it out. And feel the wood and feel which way. And I just said just now that it's going this way, but that's just at this point. This wood is nearly a flat plank. So over here it might be the other way, over here it might be the other way. It goes back and forth all the time, all the way. So each centimeter as you're carving, where am I, which way is the grain moving? And you either get it and become a reasonable carver, or you just don't get it and things just keep cracking and popping and breaking for you. Right off the end. Nice, these lines are fun. But let's deepen that one a bit before I try clearing against it. Highlight movement. How do you recover from a deep chip? Again, I'm not sure what you mean. I know if you mean if I chip out a part of the octopus that should be kept, then I have to fix it. And we'll probably see that at some point during one of these streams. The more I talk about it and blab about it, there'll be a moment here. We'll have a, what do they call, teachable moment? Is that the polite word for a disaster? No, we can fix stuff. I keep, this question comes up and I keep linking to a couple of places on my website. If I chip away a piece of this thing, then just insert another piece of wood. We don't try putting putty in or gluing bits back inside. If there's a piece of wood that's been chipped out, we cut back. Wait just a minute, Ishikawa-san's coming down from upstairs. I thought? Footsteps? I guess not. Okay. Chipping, whatever. If I chip this now, it means the line is gone. So I would cut a hole, a square box like this. I'd cut a hole down in the wood, put a new piece of cherry in, bang it in, plane it off flush, draw the line on top again, and just recut it. It's not uncommon. And absolutely, at some point during this print, we're going to encounter that, I'm sure. Everybody's going to be waiting now. They're watching and waiting for Dave's big first mistake on this block, or the first knife break, or something like that. I can hear the global cheers. Dave broke his knife. Teachable moment. We should charge admission. back in the old days, how careful they were about this? Case by case, depends on the work at hand. Something that was going to be a nice little expensive print, the carvers would have been told to clean up and fix. This book page, this octopus, we've talked about this before, I'm convinced there's some carving mistakes on it that were chipped by the carver while he was carving. Maybe with a wider angle we can show this. Let's see. Let me zoom out just a minute. Here's a photocopy of one version of the book. It's not the copy I used for doing my carving, but whatever. This is a copy of the book. It's misregistered. Some of the orange lines don't match up with what they're supposed to be in. Here, you can see that here. Can we see it here? The orange isn't exactly right inside those circles. Excuse me, dinner time. But the point I was trying to make right here, can we see this? He must have carved the octopus first, come around the line and carved it. It was probably okay when he did it. Carved this line, carved the dots, carved the dots. Then he went to do the calligraphy. Chuk, 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 chuk. And he comes down here to this one. Can we see this? And the curve, my hands are shaking. The curve of this last one, he must have carved the last one. He must have bumped and nicked. Right there. When he's carving that character, you can see the tail of the character points towards the octopus, and bingo, he must have absolutely carved a tiny bit too far, nicked the octopus, and bang, out came that piece. It's about 4 or 5 millimeters long. Exactly, I know his mood. Oh, shit. And he's got a decision to make, what to do. Fix it, or just go ahead. Again, we've mentioned this many, many times. This was not an expensive production. The guy was paid by the job. Nobody would have cared or noticed. It's a porn book, you know, one of those books that you're supposed to hold in one hand while you're reading it. Nobody would have cared about that chip. So, I think, anyway, that's what happened. He went ahead with it. Or maybe what he did was he sort of stuffed it back in and put a tiny bit of glue in there so it'll hold. It's okay, no one will notice. Then the printers come up, splash their ink on it, rub, 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 and bang, out it pops. By then, he's long gone. It doesn't matter. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, it's there. It's the chip. It's visible on every single copy of this print that you see in anywhere, any museum, any Wikipedia page, anywhere you see this print. That octopus is chipped in that place. So I think it's a carver's mistake and not something from wear and tear. But we'll never know. The blocks, of course, are long gone. After the books stop selling well enough, the blocks go in the stove, keep the workshop warm. They might have been maybe planed down thin and used again if they were thick enough at the first, but I kind of doubt it. Blocks for books like that were cheap things to start with, so. Do you think the yellow is misregistered? I don't know. It's not a copy I've been looking at so carefully at all. The yellow I think is okay. Somebody's asking about the yellow because it's not. The yellow is showing sort of like white areas at the top, and I think that's okay. The yellow was just supposed to be a tint and a tone, and I suspect it wasn't supposed to be yellow. These are rocks, rocks on the seashore. So I don't think yellow is the color there. But no, I don't think that's misregistration. I think it's okay. One of the octopus colors is clearly misregistered, and it's clearly too dark. On nice copies of this, there's an octopus skin tone, then there's an octopus highlight tone. And what we're seeing here is deep orange is the highlight tone. This just looks grotesque. Whatever, maybe that suits the image, but no, it's not nice printing. Again, running ahead of myself, once we get to the point of color separations and to the point of choosing my colors and starting printing, I'll be putting over on that website, theoctopus.com, I'll be making some new pages that fit the work we're doing at that time. And I'll be showing version A, version B, version C, which color I think is what I want to use, why I want to use it. So we'll be sort of semi-documenting this and talking about many aspects of it. The really nice copy I used to do my tracing, they forgot the color on one half. One of the colors was left off. that's another really interesting story that I can't explain right now because I need to show stuff. The fact that the original version of this, the one I just showed you, is not printed from one wood block. The left side and the right side are printed from different pieces of wood. And I'm not about to try and explain it verbally, it's just too complicated, but it's to do with the way Japanese books are bound. And it happened in the West too. If you think of some magazine you've looked at or whatever, if you take apart the staples and things like that, the left-hand side of a picture might have been on actually a different thing that came off the printing press than the right-hand side. But by the time it all gets bound together, they all match up. And that was very much the case with Japanese books. Every book was that way. The right-hand side of one page was on the same block as the left-hand side of the next page. Whatever, again, Dave, don't try and explain it. You just get tongue-tied. Save it for later. Am I in view? Too small? Zoom in, zoom out. One-handed, yeah, that's not my joke, you know, it's Richard Lane. He's dead now. He was a very well-known researcher in this field. Mid-20th century post-war researcher. He was a bit of a strange guy. He came here, he came to Japan in the post-war period. And, he was a bit of an outcast. Very, very intelligent guy. I think Columbia University, studied everything, spoke Japanese crazy, wrote old-fashioned Japanese, and really studied intensively the old ukiyo-e stuff. And one of the first serious researchers to study ukiyo-e. There'd been sort of dilettante researchers all through the 19th century working on it, but he was one of the first people to do research on it in the modern sense, you know, collecting old documents, sorting things out. Sorting out who was a teacher of who, you know, whatever. He documented and published many, many things. It's excellent encyclopedias, books. And he seemed to have not such a fond thing about the shunga. He speaks in them, the shunga, the sex books, he speaks in them quite, disparagingly. Which, whatever, we each have our views on things. And considering he grew up, he's gone now, he's a generation, he could have been my father, generation-wise, so he grew up in a different generation, and to him this stuff was whatever, it was dirty stuff, But he recognized the artistic beauty of lots of it, but he couldn't get around, I guess, the fact that it was, porn. And it was him, I believe it was him that came up with that expression. He describes these books as, books to be read and enjoyed while being held in one hand. Wonderful, wonderful expression. It was the milieu. It was Edo period. There was, I don't know, the male-female ratio was like 6-1 or something. I don't know. Certain time and a place. Most of the stuff, the porn that was published is pretty grotesque, and some of it is really, really, some of it was really ugly. And then some of it was beautiful beyond belief, just incredible. When there was the right publishing project, they hired the top artist for something, and put money, no object, into some projects. This book wasn't one such thing, but there were such projects, and the resulting prints are stunning beyond belief. I'm doing exactly the same thing I'm not supposed to do. I'm cutting too deeply. I gotta get used to this. Switching back and forth from the scope. It's really a head thing. I haven't got used to it. Dave, where are you from back west? I'm from Britain. I was born in Yorkshire. We moved to London when I was an infant. Spent the first 5 years in London, going to a prep school from a very young age. They tried to overeducate me. We moved to Canada when I was 5. This is in the mid-50s, 1950s. And we were all over the place. We lived in Edmonton, Winnipeg, Vancouver, near Vancouver. After I left home, I lived in Toronto. My children and grandchildren now are in the Vancouver area. So basically I'm a Canadian boy, I guess. Although there's a core inside from Britain. That's pretty strong, I think. We've got some pictures, like when I was 3 and 4, and oh my God. Am I in view still? I don't know, close up or not, I don't know. The best thing that clearly ever happened to me was that my parents ended up moving to Canada. Absolutely. I don't say this with any disparagement of British culture. Just a minute, here comes Ishikawa-san. Ishikawa-san, all finished? Good, thank you. We're on live. We're live here, so. Now, 生放送でしょ。映ってる？はい、今石川さんの裏映ってます。Just so you know here. Actually, no, we can just see you back of your head. Maybe on one of these Twitch streams we haven't had this lady before. I don't know. This is Ishikawa-san printing upstairs. Just say hello, just for a moment. Hi. You're hiding behind the camera, whatever. These streams are interesting, Ishikawa-san. And what happens sometimes is I might chat a bit about something. Then when I'm quiet and carving, they end up talking about things on their own. Without me. So. She thinks I'm talking to the stream. You don't have to tiptoe, it's okay. Hi. At this point, some of you are going to think, or you're going to interject into the stream, wait a minute, Dave was telling us the other day about how he tries to get all the employees to go home at 5:30 or so. We do indeed, and there's a little bit of some sort of exceptions to this for a couple of things. The printers actually work on their own time. They have their own keys. They come and go as they please. Actually, they're paid by the piecework. She'll be paid when she's finished the job she's doing now. She and I inspect it together, which ones are good, which ones are bad. And she gets paid for the good ones. So it doesn't actually matter what time of day they come in. And as I said, she has her own key, so she comes and goes. So she came in this afternoon, I don't know, 2 o'clock or something. And she's working late. So this is not overtime. We don't do that here. She's not being asked to stay late. And I know without asking, because I know her pattern. You know, her husband and or daughter is making dinner tonight or something. and she's chosen to do it this way. So. There's also, I was up there this afternoon, I saw her, she was working on one of her own projects. This lady's interested in printmaking above and beyond what she does for us. And she knows, she's got her bench up there. It doesn't matter. So she was working on one of her own projects. She's a hobby printmaker. She makes little books. She makes up stories about her family dog, carves text and pictures, actually does books, and like makes whatever, half a dozen copies for herself and her friends. She's just nuts about making prints. Am I still in view? Gotta be careful about that. Somebody's saying time for dinner. Does that mean me, or are you talking about yourself? I'm not sure what. It is time for dinner, but I'll hang on for a while here yet, I think. Not sure. Finish this bunch of dots. Can't blow through my lens here. 5 a.m. I'll never ever get used to this thing, I understand it, but I'll never grok it. Living in a time-free environment, talking to people in every time of day, all at the same time, Took a bit of that dot off, I think. Oops. Anybody see that? Don't look. It's expanded on the back. There we are. There's a dot that's moved. Okay, 2 more dots, bit of clearing, and I'm off for dinner. Where to go tonight? Been a bit of a funny stream tonight. It feels a bit a bit of a funny mood. Maybe because I had the different lens or something, I'm not sure. Didn't explain things very well, whatever. Anyway, nearly done this one, so I'm going to wrap up. It's Sunday night now, Monday tomorrow. Normal day for us. So as far as I can see, there'll be a normal stream in the morning, the 8 o'clock. The 8 o'clock Tokyo time stream should be here. As for the evening stream, this stream, again, it seems like I should be here. Not quite sure what will come up. There's a full print party schedule. The shop's going to be busy. Yeah, I got that out without chipping. But I don't know, unless something comes up, I'll be here for this one too. And again, if anybody's got any recommendations of the highlights I should clip for the YouTube videos, you know, please speak up. Okay, Mr. Giant Octopus is coming along. Let's zoom out a little bit. Oops. Here we are. Coming very, very well. That was just this morning, so this morning and this evening. So if I did the same again tomorrow, we should be finished the main man himself. We're coming along very well. Okay. Thanks again for watching, for participating. I'll read this again later, of course, as I always do. And any suggestions on that timing problem will be much appreciated. I'm off for dinner. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. If I can find the software. Good night.